Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Building Students' Portfolios, Integrating Course Artifacts into Individualized Learning Plans. The webinar will last about 30 minutes, including some time at the end of the webinar to answer your questions. You may use the on-screen raise your hand feature, the chat feature, or you can wait to the end and we'll unmute everyone and you can verbally ask your questions. If you encounter any technical difficulties during the webinar, please email occrl@illinois.edu. Today's webinar is part of the work of Pathways Resource Center. We call ourselves PRC. PRC is focused on enhancing and strengthening pathways to college and career success for all students. We provide resources, research, and support to P20 educational partners. PRC is funded by the Illinois State Board of Education and is part of the Office of Community College Research and Leadership at the College of Education at the University of Illinois. After today's webinar, we'll send you a follow-up email alerting you when the recording and slides from the webinar are available on our website. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on faculty's role in identifying and integrating artifacts from the courses that they teach into students' individualized learning plans, or ILPs. Your speakers today are myself, Heather Fox, and I'm the Assistant Director of Operations, Communications, and Research at the Office of Community College Research and Leadership. And we have joining us Steve Yon, the Senior Educational Sales Consultant at Career Cruising. Our contact information will be available at on the closing slide. I'm going to open the webinar with a brief overview of the topic and the value of integrating artifacts into ILPs, and then Steve's going to walk you through integrating those artifacts into students' ILPs using a popular ILP software, Career Cruising. And we'll be sure to leave a few minutes at the end in case you have questions. So I'm going to start by defining what we mean by individualized learning plans, or ILPs. My apologies. ILPs are living documents. They are created through a student-centered process that results in a customized education plan. Students are active agents in creating ILPs, but they need the help, so they get guidance from parents, teachers, counselors, and other people, even employers, in creating a plan that will help them achieve their goals. ILPs reflect students' personal academic and career goals, skills and interests, and their progress along a career pathway. This can include tracking coursework, looking at future course plans, post-secondary aspirations and transition plans, their employment, achievements and awards they've earned, and other complementary learning activities. There's a growing list of benefits for students that researchers have found to be associated with individualized learning plans. Probably the one that is most known or has been most researched is looking at academic engagement, motivation, and the changes in self-efficacy. And all of these changes, which are all positively associated with ILPs, are positively associated with educational outcomes. Students identify their personal interests, skills, and abilities. They get better at that skill, and the alignment of these skills with their career and educational opportunities. Further, students gain communication skills, goal-setting skills, and planning skills. These include improved communications with their parents and educational personnel, and students are better at advocating for themselves, expressing their goals, and dealing with conflicts. Finally, students engage in more challenging coursework with a heightened understanding of why they're taking that coursework, how that coursework relates to their goals. Each of these outcomes we think are pretty important and alone would be worthy of considering ILPs. Putting them all together really shows you the true value of engaging students in this process. Faculty roles in supporting the ILP process vary a lot across different institutions, districts, and states. However, successful ILP implementation always involves active roles for faculty. Faculty roles range from faculty advising students, stewarding the ILP process, reviewing and reinforcing goals outlined by students in their ILPs. Regardless of the way they contribute, all faculty can contribute. One key area they can do is they can integrate career knowledge in building students' career awareness into their courses. This can be done through contextualized curriculum, work-based learning, and a myriad of other ways. These processes help students recognize how their coursework is relevant and translates to their post-secondary education, military, or career goals. One critical contribution that can be made by faculty is to identify and integrate course artifacts into students' ILPs, and that's the focus of today's presentation. So at this point, you might be wondering, why is it important to include artifacts in student ILPs? Well, there are a lot of benefits to including artifacts in students' ILPs. I'll just mention a few of them today. One of the ones, though, is reflection. If you give students the opportunity to look at their artifacts over time, this gives them an opportunity to reflect on their academic and personal development. It fosters students' ability to identify their own interests and skills over time as they see commonalities in the threads, and it can help them to draw on their efforts to apply that knowledge, those skills and abilities, and to demonstrate the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they've gained. By being able to just demonstrate what they've learned, they're able to have a competitive advantage when they're seeking work-based learning, which we know is critical, when they're looking for employment, when they're applying for college, or looking at military opportunities. Finally, through this process, students learn the importance of documenting key accomplishments and how to use those accomplishments in supporting them in achieving their goals throughout their life. There are a wide range of course artifacts that might be appropriate to integrate into students' ILPs. Most commonly, and what we usually think about with artifacts, are some form of document, slide, paper, poster that reflects the student's original work and is associated with a capstone project or another substantive class project. Artifacts from work-based learning can also serve as important artifacts. Of course, not every course includes work-based learning, but those that do might want to think about what's appropriate to include that reflects these experiences in the ILPs. This might be employer assessments, job descriptions, letters of recommendation, and other examples of products that students have created in their work-based learning during their experience. Some artifacts are either themselves visual in nature or best captured via visual medium. And depending on the circumstances, these photos may stand alone as artifacts, or they might be embedded or linked in other documentation. Visual artifacts can include art portfolios, photos from service or work-based learning activities, photos of projects. Not every project itself. I mean, if you're in an electrical engineering course, you might not be able to put your course product in as its own artifact, but a photo of it probably could be. Examples of it would be photos from students assembling a car engine and the fully assembled engine of the photo of a completed construction project, and you could link that, say, to a set of blueprints. One of the fastest growing types of artifacts are virtual artifacts. These can include websites, e-portfolios, channels, videos. Some of these artifacts are growing more common, and of course faculty need to ensure that they comply with any guidelines from their district on the use of virtual products, and some consideration should be given to the stability, security, and the maintenance of such projects. So I'm going to turn it over now to Steve, who is going to demonstrate how to integrate these artifacts into students' individualized learning plans. Steve, I think
Thank you.
Is that better?
We're good.
Okay.
We're better. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Yawn, and I'm visiting with you today from my base of operations in Madison, Wisconsin. And pleasure to have the chance to share with you a little bit here of where in students' individual learning plan portfolios in career cruising, these artifacts that Heather has been referring to as part of ILP development can be integrated into the students' plan portfolios. What we're looking at here on the screen right at the moment is the student's dashboard page for their own personal plan account. And the elements of the ILP that Heather was referring to in her opening slide, we've incorporated all those elements of the ILP in the menu options that the students have of the different sections of their individual learning plans, in which they're able to record all of those various experiences and reflections that Heather referred to in her opening slides. Now, first I would like to go into a couple of examples of where students themselves will be putting artifacts in that they might be instructed to do as part of organized class time, or artifacts that they're infusing and integrating into their individual learning plan portfolios on their own. And then I want to go to where teachers and counselors themselves can actually integrate assigned artifacts of completions that students are to complete to illustrate accomplishments in, for example, particular course areas. So on the main dashboard page here for the students, and by the way, I know there's probably some that are on the webinar here today who do know me personally. And for those of you who don't, this handsome-looking young dude up here in the avatar area is about half my age. The name is right, but the dude isn't. I have him in there just to remind me to share with folks that students can personalize their personal individual learning plan accounts in the system by uploading photographs or avatars into that area. Now, on the main dashboard page here for the students, this is one of the first places, I'm scrolling down here, but this is one of the first places of where the students are able to add artifacts or documents into their individual learning plans by using the My Files upload feature. And if students upload files and artifacts into this section of their individual learning plan portfolio, they can also then draw from this index area of documents that they have filed here to attach those documents into other areas of their ILPs for specific content categories, for example. One of the reasons also I'm logged in under the account that I am is I'm showing here what schools can actually post for documents for students to actually work from and or open in their individual learning plans. So I'm going to click on a document here that this particular school has put into the individual learning plans for their students. And it's actually the checklist of the artifacts that this school is expecting their students to have entered and stored in their individual learning plans by the time they're ready to graduate. So in this case, the students have to have a total of 8 items, artifacts of completion, illustrating accomplishments in the core academic areas for English, math, science, and social studies. And then the students will get to choose to have 6 additional artifacts of completion, illustrating accomplishments and achievements in any of the additional elective areas. And then the students are also expected to have a minimum of additional artifacts related to extracurricular activities, work experience history, work-based learning activity experiences, and so forth that they may have had in the program. So these are examples of types of documents that school districts can post to students' ACP dashboard pages that the students themselves can work with. So the students have a repository of their own documents. The school has a directory, a repository of documents that they want the students to work from. And this can also be done through links. And for those of you who may be having students who are doing this work on Chromebooks, for example, they might want to put links to their Google documents to where they can open those Google documents directly through shared links that they can add to their dashboard pages here of their individual learning plan homepage portfolio accounts. Now, a couple of other examples on the student side, and then I will switch over to where the teachers can actually embed assigned artifact assignments into the students' individual learning plans in a moment. I'm going to an area of the individual learning plan here called My Goals and Plans. And when I select from My Goals and Plans, I have the opportunity is in here to do my goal statement writing for my career life goals, but the work-based or career-based learning activity opportunities that Heather was referring to, I have a repository here called Career Planning Activities, which provides the students a place to record their career planning activities like job shadows, career fairs, could be internships, etc. And to do that, the students will select the Add an Activity option, select from the activity menu. So that might be things like having attended a career fair, or job fair, or a college fair. It could be field trips done to colleges and or to businesses. It could be job shadowing programs that the students might have completed, senior projects, part-time summer work, apprenticeships, and so forth. So the students would select the activity that they are completing, identify the organization or the name of the group that they were doing the activity with, the dates of the activity and when it was completed, a reflection field to write their reflections out on that particular activity, and then an attachment area here to actually upload in any artifacts that may be associated with that particular activity to document that job shadowing experience, perhaps even including, for example, a letter of recommendation from the shadow coach. Or if this particular school was a school district that assigned students to write a research paper or report paper on the backside of that job shadowing experience, the students then would be able to attach that written report that they've been prepared for that job shadow experience. They would be able to attach that here. Now, another area where the students can add the additional artifacts to help illustrate accomplishments and achievements that they've had is in the area of the individual learning plan called My Activities and Experiences. My Activities and Experiences. And in this section of the student's individual learning plan, they have the capability to house experiences and artifacts for extracurriculars, hobbies and interests, skills and abilities, awards and certifications they may be picking up along the way, volunteer and community service project work, and actual work history experience. So if I go into extracurriculars as a quick example here for just a moment, and I go to start to enter some of my extracurricular activity experiences and artifacts into my ILP, I click again on Add an Activity. I go to the category area, and I'm going to add for clubs and organizations in this particular example. And then I'm going to go to the specific activity area. And I'm a Northern Illinois dairy farm kid, and I was a member of FFA. So I would be recording and highlighting my FFA history and experiences and accomplishments, including, for example, maybe my experiences of being chapter officer, etc. But I also picked up awards when I was in FFA, judging contests and so forth. So those award docs, certificates that I might have earned for those, I would be able to attach those artifacts in to illustrate my experience and my accomplishments in with my time during the FFA. Now, also on the student's dashboard is an area called My Journal. And we saw an area on one of Heather's slides talking about personal reflections for students. And the journal area is intended to be a place for the students to reflect on their career and educational goals and achievements, and where they can do this through different entry entities as they advance and progress up through the grade level years. And so the students then will be able to enter their journal entry title. They'll be able to write a description of the journal entry, and they can bring in artifacts that would sustain, support, illustrate maybe any of the achievements that were related to the particular journal entries that the students might have been entering into the program. By the way, if I can go back here for just one moment here to my activities and experiences, and if I was to go to the skills and abilities area, and I wanted to start recording some specific skills that I feel that I have now developed and I have possessed, and I can do that over several different categories. So if I now feel that I have possessed the skill of being detail-oriented or a problem solver, we want the students to write descriptions of what would help illustrate for an employer, college admissions counselor, etc., what would help illustrate and explain how that student is a problem solver. And the student could again attach any artifacts that would indicate how or illustrate visually examples of how they maybe solve some particular problems or situations. So these are all areas built into the individual learning plan component for the students of where they can add these artifacts themselves into the program. Now, on this teacher and counselor side, I'm just going to close out of this particular student component here for just a moment. I'll be back here in a moment. And I'm going over to the administrator component of the program platform where the teachers and the counselors work from. And there's a function here in this platform for teachers and counselors to use called assignments and activities. And assignments and activities, this gives teachers and counselors the capability to specify specific assignments or activities that students should upload to their ILP portfolios. So I have a list of different specific assignments. Now, these are all customized locally by the individual school district, teachers and counselors in the individual school district, where the teachers will go in and they will post these various different assignments for the students to complete as part of their portfolio individual learning plan development. And for a teacher to add a new assignment into a student's portfolio, they simply go to Add New Assignment. They indicate the name of the activity, the date that that assignment may need to be completed. I have to put a couple things in here in order to get past a couple of screens here. And then they're going to determine which students are going to receive this artifact assignment in their ILP portfolio. And in this case, if I'm a teacher, it might be students in a specific group, so that if I have student lists set up in the administrative tool here, I might want to post this assignment if it's a math-related artifact. I might want to post this assignment to my Eligible 1 Section 1 students. I'll go to the next screen, and if I actually have an artifact document I want the students to work from, I'll add that file document at this point. It will give me a summary of the assignment I'm about to post to the students' individual learning plan for that particular block of students in that class. When I would click on Finish, it would then post that assignment on the student side of the program, and I'll go back and match this up here. It will post that assignment then for the students to complete, again back in the individual learning plan, but this time in the section called My Assignments and Activities. So that list of assignments and activities that we just looked at in the administrative portal are displayed in the My Assignments and Activities section of the student's personal plan area of the program. And so the students then would highlight and click on the assignment, and if it has an assignment an artifact document for the students to work from, the teacher put one in there. They would click on that artifact document, download it to their workstation, and here then that they would come in and they would answer the questions that they're expected to complete for that particular assignment and that particular artifact. So there are multiple places in the system for the students to be able to house the artifacts, both the artifacts the students themselves are putting in and those that teachers and specific or counselors may be putting in for the students to complete as part of a specific course assigned activity, and those go into the assignments and activities folder here as we just looked at. With that, Heather, I'm going to get the control back over to you, and we can take some questions here. I have to figure out how I'm going to get that back over to you here. All of a sudden, the menu here looks a little bit different. Or can you take it back from your end? Yep, we're back. Okay.
All right, and at this point, I am going to unmute everyone. So if people have questions, they have the opportunity to ask. I apologize for any extra noise that comes from doing this, but I want to give people a chance to ask questions because we all reach out in different ways to do that. So everyone should be unmuted now who has an audio link to the webinar, and if you don't, feel free to put a question into chat or into the questions section. And while you're thinking of your question, I'm just going to flip ahead quickly here to the next couple slides, and then we'll check back in case anyone has questions. And of course, if you don't get your chance to ask a question today or it comes up, you think about it tomorrow, you can, I'll end the slide with the presentation with our contact information, and you can send us your question. So I just want to encourage people to visit our website. It's occr.illinois.edu/PRC. Go there. You can find tons of resources. There's two I wanted to show you on ILPs. The first one here on your left, or on the left of the screen, is a short research brief. It's just 4 pages, and it summarizes most of the research that's out. There's a few new things that aren't in there, but they still support, still it's all correct. And then on the right side there is the Achieving Our Goals, is a guide, and that guide is intended to help you explain and understand the idea of what individualized learning plans are, and then work with a team to implement that in your district or at your school. So those are 2 resources I wanted to make sure that you knew we have available for you and that you can download for free. And we have many more resources, and I want to remind you that this webinar itself will be a resource that we will shortly have up on our website that you'll be able to share and use as is appropriate or helpful for you. And this is our contact information as promised. I included Don Hackman on this slide, although he's not presenting today. He's the director of Pathways Resource Center, so he's a great contact if you have questions about implementation of ILPs. And I just want to stop for a moment and see if anybody has any questions.
Heather, while we're waiting for a question, I would also just add that as the students populate the artifacts or complete the assigned artifacts the teachers put in, teachers and counselors then will be able to monitor and review those works that the students have completed. By going through the administrative portal, they will be able to then look inside the students' individual learning plans to actually view the completed artifacts. And secondly, the students will have the capability to share electronically their individual learning plan portfolios, including the artifacts, by extending guest access to, for example, to a college admissions counselor or a prospective employer, so that individual would be able to come in online and see electronically into the student's ILP and review those accomplishments that they completed.
Thank you for sharing that, Steve. I think that the idea is this is even a way that students could hand in key artifacts, and it could be a double thing, right? You've handed it to your professor, they have access to it, and you put it on your ILP.
Correct.
And I do want to encourage people as you're trying to feel free to contact us. And I want to thank everyone for attending and being part of this webinar. And I also want to wish you all the best of luck in your efforts to support student success through individualized planning and helping them reach their goals. Wonderful to work towards, and we appreciate all your efforts. So one last chance. Anyone have any questions? No? Perfect. So I think we'll close there with just a couple moments left to
take 30 minutes for this webinar. Actually, this webinar was more for you guys, for the job retention, coaches, counselors, and things of that nature. It was per Pauline. I wanted to show it to you guys so you guys can kind of take that back to your Belindas and your counselors and your coaches or what have you for the start of our outreach and placement work team, which Tanya's going to be over. So I will be sending tomorrow. I'll be sending all the PowerPoints to the appropriate parties.
So is this something that they're wanting to implement, this particular program? It seems like.
I think the it's a suggestion. It's not a mandate, but I mean, I think the ILP, in essence, is supposed to cut down on, it's supposed to address the retention issue with our students that are coming in.
I was just thinking, it kind of seems like it would.
I'm going to close the webinar.
If it works, there's a lot of similarity.
Thank everybody for attending today.